and welcome to another video from the DCGist. In this video we'll be looking at output 7, Graphical Exploration of Design Solutions. This is the first output in part B of the student assignment. In particular, we'll walk through output 7 requirements, choosing a theme or target market, putting together an inspirational image collage, writing a mini brief and analysing it, designing possible solutions, and using all of the above as well as output 1 to 5 to come up with a final concept design to move forward with for the rest of the project. So output 7 is the first output that we look at in terms of part B. Now at this point it's important to say that everything that you've learned in part A needs to be used to inform your decisions in part B. So they're not two separate things. Part A was done so that you'd learn all about all of the different aspects of the artifact in your given year, and so that you'd have a really good understanding of how your different artifacts worked, and also different artifacts that exist, so that you could use that to inform your own design. So if you have just a look at the student assignment brief here from 2018, we start off, we again have our computer mice are amongst the most popular peripheral input devices. Their form is anthropometrically and ergonomically influenced. Many are novel in design. While most are intended for everyday use, others are specifically tailored for 3D graphic applications or for use in assistive technology. So that's still relevant here in terms of your part B, because it's still putting together the case for what you're trying to design. So the second part then, if you're on output 7, you already have done. But what we now want to look at is the part B. So we have an either or situation here. So we have show graphically how you would physically modify a chosen mouse to improve its overall design, or develop and graphically communicate a new concept design for a mouse based on a selected theme or a target market. Okay. Now, when it comes to this, I would always recommend to my students that you do the second one. And the reason I say to do that is because it's much easier to get the marks for your design and your SolidWorks, because there's more work involved in it, but also because it's easier to justify all of your decisions. If you physically modify, you only get the marks for the modification that you made. So even if you come up with a really great modification, it's very difficult to do enough. That means that you've done the same amount of work for the modification as you would do for the concept design. And the concept design amount of work is the amount of work that the marks go for in this output. Now we'll take a look at the marking scheme. Now the marking scheme here is very similar to the marking scheme for output 1 and output 2, in that there are still 5 different considerations, and they're all split into 2. The difference here is that the amount of marks are considerably more. Okay, so if you look at all the relevant criteria considered, you'll get 21 marks, and then there are 4 marks then for your presentation, whereas in output 1 and output 2 there are only 2. Then for the marks for output 7, so just a clearer look at it here, we have 25 marks. There are 2 pages. So what that means is that there is 15.6% for output 7. Now that is the most amount of marks for one output that goes into your portfolio. There are more marks go for SolidWorks, but in terms of 2 A3 pages, this is the most amount of marks. So this is an absolutely vitally important output. And also this output ties your entire project together. So this output will require a lot of time, and you may have to do it once and then make lots of changes, but it's worth it, because if this output is done well, the rest of your project will really show off your ability. The output 7 then requirements that are in the marking scheme are to show the exploration of the theme and possible solutions, to give justification of your chosen solutions, to use appropriate images and graphics, and to effectively lay out the presentation of information combining images, sketches, and annotations. Now, unlike in other outputs, all of these requirements are used throughout your 2 pages for output 7. So you're always trying to explore your theme and show your possible solutions. You're always trying to justify your chosen solutions, and you're always trying to use appropriate images and graphics. That's the whole point of the output. So those are worth 21 marks, and then the effective layout is worth 4 marks. But we're always taking them all into account every time we do a different section of this output. So now that we've looked at all the official documentation for output 7, it's time to look at how we actually put it together in practice. So output 7 is 2 pages, and I split it up into 2 different sections. So on page 1 we have inspiration and analysis, and on page 2 we try to refine the design. So there is no requirements written anywhere about exactly what needs to go on these 2 pages, but the ones that I've chosen here make sure that we fulfill all of the more vague requirements that are actually given in the brief in the best way possible, and to ensure that we can get all of the marks. So on the first page for inspiration analysis, we have, first of all, our target market. So we need to choose that. The second thing then is we show an inspirational image collage, and that will help to inform our design decisions and to help give us some inspiration about coming up with ideas. We'll then have a self-written mini brief to work from. So having a mini brief makes it much easier to come up with your design, because it offers constraints to your design, and having a few constraints or a few things that an artifact has to do makes it a lot easier to actually design it. We'll have 4 keywords then to research, and those 4 keywords are going to come from the mini brief that we do, and then we're going to come up with requirements for our design. Now we'll come up with those requirements from all of the work that we've done before in output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, but also from the different sections that we did in page 1 of output 7. And these requirements are going to be absolutely vital when it comes to doing our design, okay? And it really can show off everything that you've learned if these requirements are written well. The second page then is all about refining your design. So what we're going to have is we're going to have 3 possible solutions. They all need to be unique, okay, and individual. And the reason for that is because it really makes you have to think about your solutions, and it really helps with creativity, okay? It means that you can't just choose one idea and then run with that. You have to come up with three separate ones, which you might say at the beginning is making it overly difficult, but really what it's doing is it's making sure that you get the best possible solution, the best concept design in the end that you possibly can. And again, as I said, this will show your creativity. The second thing then is choosing aspects of each possible solution to use in your final concept design. So from each one of those possible solutions, there'll be 3 different ways that you've tried to solve each one of the requirements, okay? And you'll then be talking about which ones you choose from your 3 possible solutions to fulfill the requirements in your final concept design. And the final concept design will be in output 8, okay? So this output 7 doesn't need to have your final design. It just needs to explain how you get to your final design. Now, choosing a theme or a target market can really make or break your student assignment, because it's going to influence everything from here on in. So in output 7, 8 and 9. And there are a few things that you need to take into account when looking at this. One of the most important things to think about is that a theme is really talking more about how something looks, and a target market is looking more at how something functions, okay? Now, it can be, in my opinion, much easier to look at target market because it's much easier to justify decisions when it comes down to function. Whereas a theme, if all you're looking at and what you're mostly looking at is how it looks for your theme, it's more difficult to give proper justifications, and it's also more difficult to do the research into a theme in relation to whatever it is that you're asked to design, where it's much easier to do the research in target market. So I'd really recommend using target market, but if you really have your heart set on doing a theme, that's fine as well. What I'd first of all do when you are trying to figure this out is to do a brainstorm of different ideas for your themes and target markets. So here you'll see I have my theme and I have just a few ideas around it. Theme is looking at a broad thing, okay, that you'll use to choose your design. The second one then, the target market, is in the brainstorm for this one is there's things like teachers, children, office workers, graphic designers, people with physical disabilities, elderly, and there's many, many more. What's important with these is that it doesn't necessarily matter which one you choose, so long as you feel passionate about it and you're ready to design for it. So the 3 key questions I would ask myself before choosing for certain a theme or a target market is to say, am I excited and passionate about designing for this theme or target market? You're going to be looking at this theme or target market a lot during the rest of the student assignment, so it's important that you're excited by it and that you're passionate about it, because otherwise it might just drag on and it'll be hard to do your best work. The second one then is, does the target market have a use for the artifact that you've been asked to design? So there's no point in using a target market if they don't have any use for the artifact that you're asked to design, okay? So you're not going to choose a target market of somebody that lives in the rainforest if you have to design a computer mouse, because they're not going to have a computer. So you need to be sure that the target market will have a use for your artifact. The third one then is, am I confident that I will be able to come up with a great concept design from this target market? Now, this might seem a little bit strange to say, but you will be more drawn to one theme or target market more than another. And you will be more confident in designing for different ones. So if you have chosen a theme or a target market and ideas aren't flowing straight away, you're probably better off going to a different theme or target market. Try to find one that ideas just flow out of your mind as soon as you start thinking about either that theme or that target market. And remember that there's no wrong theme, there's no wrong target market, so long as when you're doing your research and your design, that you're able to justify every decision that you've made. Now, once you've chosen your theme or your target market, we have to try to come up with a way of inspiring you to design for them. So one way of doing that is to create an inspirational image collage. Now, what this allows you to do is to take lots of images that are relevant to your theme or target market, put them all on a page, and then it gives you a visual idea of what you're trying to design for. Now, when you're doing this inspirational image collage, what you want to do is to take images relevant to the theme or target market, but not of the actual artifact. So whatever it is you're trying to design, you want to come up with images that are about that theme or target market, but not of the actual artifact that you're trying to design, because this is for inspiration. You don't want to put in an artifact that you may then copy. The second thing then is that you want to show the theme or target market's key traits without words. So you can communicate a lot more with images than you can with words. It would take a very long sentence or paragraph or essay to talk about this burger in this image, but you can see everything you need at a glance when it's just a picture. So having these 6 pictures gives me much more information than having loads and loads of text written on a page somewhere, and it'll allow me to design much better for somebody working in a kitchen, which is what this is based around. Then it's important that you reference your images. So you'll notice that we have these red dots with the numbers in them. Now, if you watch my referencing video, that'll explain exactly what's going on with those dots with the numbers. It's a way of referencing that is really effective for the student assignment and make sure that you don't plagiarize anybody else's work. Once you have your inspirational image collage completed, what you want to do then is to create a mini design brief. Now, what this design brief will do is give you a focus for your design and also give you some goals that you need to achieve. If you just try to design an artifact for a given theme or target market and don't have any kind of constraints to that, it'll be very difficult to do it, because you'll be trying to solve every single problem for that particular artifact, rather than just trying to solve a number of achievable problems. So the first thing you want to do with your mini design brief is to define the theme or target market. That will be clear from the inspirational image collage, but it'll be important to put it here as well. And set a number of design goals. So as I say, the goals will help you to focus your design. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 2 sentences. The first sentence you want to have broad on the theme or target market, very similar to the first paragraph of the official student assignment brief. And the second sentence is a more detailed sentence which will talk in much more depth about exactly what it is that you want to design. So there'll be some keywords in there and also some more descriptive language to help you to do your design. So the mini design brief has to include the theme or target market in its summary, the type of artifact that you want to design, and at least 4 keywords. Okay, you can have more, but you want to have at least four keywords to work from. So here's an example. This is related to the inspirational image collage that we looked at in the last slide. So what it is restaurant kitchens are some of the busiest and most pressurized workplaces in the world. Design and graphically communicate a new concept design for a tap to be used in industrial kitchens, including details on durability, ease of cleaning, water efficiency, and consistency of hot water. So what this is doing is you have the first sentence, which is broad. The second sentence is adding a lot more constraints, and in particular putting in some keywords. So you'll see I have 4 keywords in here: ease of cleaning, water efficiency, and consistency of water. There's 4 keywords there. And a sentence that really helps to pull all this together is if you use the design and graphically communicate a new concept design for A. If you start off your second sentence with that, it will bring all of your brief together and really bind it so that it works well as a brief. The next step is just like in output 1, and it's to take the keywords that we have in our mini design brief and to research those keywords. So you'll have 4 keywords, okay? So you'll have at least 4 from your mini design brief. And what you have to do for each is to write a definition, same as in output 1, and then how your keyword affects your concept design. Okay, so in output 1, we were just talking about it in general sense, so how each one of the keywords affected the design of your artifact in general. But in this section, what we want to do is to say how it affects your concept design. So we're always thinking about your one from here on in. Then for each keyword, you want to have 2 sketch design ideas specific to each keyword, okay? So when I say that, what you're trying to do is to just take parts of your design thinking and put it in. You don't want to do a sketch of an entire design every time. Just a small sketch of a specific design idea for that keyword. You might not end up using it, but it'll help you with your thinking later down the line. And if it is good enough, you'll be able to use it for your possible solutions later on in this output. So that brings us on to what is probably the most important piece of information in this output 7 video. And that's coming up with concept design requirements. Now, what these concept design requirements do is it makes your student assignment coherent, and it shows the examiner that everything that you've done in every output up until now, so in output 1 to 6, you've taken on board and you're going to use for your own concept design. So what we want to do is to outline 5 design requirements for your concept design using the below to justify them. So each one of these requirements you are going to use in your design, and you're taking these requirements from different areas of your project. And again, it shows that you're really taking on board all the work that you've done. So the requirement 1, you're going to decide what that requirement is based on a group of keywords from output 1. Okay, so a group of keywords that you thought were particularly important for your artifact, you're going to create a requirement using those. Your second requirement is going to be from 1 or more decisions that you made in output 2. So in output 2, page 2, we'll put in page 2 there. So in output 2, page 2, you made 6 decisions about which artifact was better and why. Now choose 1 or more of those decisions, the ones that you felt were the most important, and create a requirement for your design from that. Okay, so whichever one was better, you might be putting that piece of design into your design. Requirement 3 then is one that you'll get from a practical issue that you encounter when modeling your existing artifact in output 4. So when you're doing your SolidWorks of your existing artifact, you'll probably have found some design flaws in it that you think shouldn't be a flaw in an artifact that you're designing. So if you found one, and I'm sure you will have, use that as your requirement 3 so that you won't make the same mistake as the designer of the artifact that you modeled. Requirement 4 then is 1 or more of your keywords from output 7. So put together 1 or more of the 4 keywords that you have in output 7 and create a requirement from that. And then the 5th requirement is the same. So take the rest of your keywords or 1 of your other keywords and create a requirement for your concept design based on those. Once you have your design requirements, then you can really start to put your designs onto paper. And that's what we're going to do in output 7, page 2. So what we have here is we have 3 possible solutions that we need to put together. The 3 possible solutions need to be individual, okay? You don't want to be having ones that look very similar because you won't get much out of it. You want it to be as different as possible from one another so that you can get creative with your thinking. If you have them all very similar, then you're not allowing your creativity to show to the examiner. Now, to explain your possible solution to the person reading your portfolio, what you want to put in is you want to put in an A3 annotated sketch. That should be the largest sketch on the output, okay? You're going to have a large possible solution sketch, and then each one of the subsequent 3 of these points will be smaller than that one. Then we're going to have a small annotated detail sketch showing the most interesting part. Okay, so the most interesting part, what makes your possible solution individual? What makes it interesting? Why were you excited to design that possible solution? Then a small explanatory paragraph, so just 3 or 4 sentences explaining your possible solution to somebody looking at it. Then you want to put in 5 different bullet points that will explain how your possible solution meets each one of the 5 requirements. Okay, so from here on in, now that you have requirements, you're going to use those to justify all of the decisions that you make. So each possible solution needs to fulfill the 5 design requirements. If they don't, then you need to change your design. Okay, it needs to fulfill those requirements because they're the requirements that you've come up with from all of the work that you've done up until now. Now, once you have come up with your 3 possible solutions, what you then need to do is to come up with your final concept design. The best way to do that is to take your 3 possible solutions and take the best parts of each to create your final concept design. So what you need to do is to choose the parts of the 3 possible solutions to use in the concept design and give reasons for your design decision. So the reasons are really important, okay? And just like in output 2, page 2, why is absolutely vital, okay? You need to answer why. So why have you made the decision that you have made? So why are you putting in a part of a possible solution into your final one? So what you'll need to do is you need to give a solution for each one of your five requirements. To do that, you'll write down the chosen design solution. So for example, you could say that I have chosen to fulfill requirement 1 with the design concept I used in possible solution 2. And you'll justify that then by saying why. So why is it the best one? Now, this is your opinion. You've now done enough work in the background in terms of research and development to know your own mind when it comes to the artifact that you're trying to design. You are now somewhat of an expert in it. So you can now use your opinion instead of trying to justify what you're doing with everybody else's, because you have done that up until now, but you've now learned so much that you're now an expert in this. Finally, I'm just going to have a look at how I would suggest laying out your output 7 page 1 and page 2. For output 1 page 1, what I'd first of all do is put in the official student design brief, okay? And that'll be just word for word, okay? And that will just give a context again for this whole design that you're going to put together. I would then put together your inspirational image collage. Now this will take up quite a bit of space because you're going to have lots of different images, but that's okay. It's a really important thing to put in, so we'll give it the space to do that. We then put in our mini design brief down here in the bottom, and this is really important because it affects everything else that we're going to do on this page and in the next page. So that mini design brief will go down there in the bottom. The next thing then is we're going to put in each one of the 4 keywords that we've taken from the mini design brief. Okay, so it's coming from the mini design brief up into this area. Okay, and again, if you go back and have a look at how I said to do those, you'll put in each one of your points in there with your sketches. Then you have the box down here in the bottom corner where I've put the 5 design requirements. Now, this is, as I said to you, one of the most important sections in the entire project because it blends everything together. It makes it clear to the examiner and to anybody that reads your portfolio that you've taken into account everything that you've learned so far when it comes to doing your own concept design. On output 7 page 2 then you'll have your 3 possible solutions with sketches and annotations, and the final part of your output 7 will be the design solutions to use in your final concept, which will be looking in particular at the 5 design requirements that you've put together in the previous page. It's absolutely vital to look at those 5 requirements in order to justify the design solution for your final concept. That brings us to the end of this video on output 7. I really hope you enjoyed it and that the information in it is useful to you in completing your student assignment. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel to see more videos from the DCGist. You can also find more information at thedcgist.com, where you'll find videos, study guides and some board drawing tips. You can also follow the DCGist on Twitter at the DCGist, or on Facebook at facebook.com/the DCGist. Best of luck with your output 7, and I'll see you later.